Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack one of the absolute messiest, most complicated, and just deeply human experiences out there: romantic obsession. We've all seen the movies where an all-consuming infatuation is held up as the absolute pinnacle of romance, right? But what if your brain is actually playing tricks on you? What if that overwhelming, irresistible pull towards someone isn't really about them at all, but about what's going on inside your own head? Today, we're looking at the fascinating science behind why we obsess and uncovering the brain's hidden search for safety. Now, I want you to be really honest with yourself for a second. Have you ever been completely, unapologetically obsessed with someone, to the point where literally every single text gives you this incredible rush of excitement, but then even just a few hours of silence feels like a total world-ending catastrophe? Like you're agonizing over a text message, anxiously refreshing their social media, or wondering if they saw that one specific story you posted just for them. It feels like love, right? It's intense, it's passionate, it feels almost magical. But underneath all of that, there's this quiet, gnawing anxiety that never quite lets you rest. Today, we're going to validate that experience, because what you're feeling is incredibly real, even if the love part might be a bit of a disguise. So, that brings us to section 1, the illusion of love. It is so remarkably easy to believe that these overwhelming, consuming feelings are the ultimate proof of true romance. Society literally tells us that if you can't stop thinking about someone, well, they must be the one. But your brain is a master storyteller, and sometimes it crafts this intricate fantasy just to fill a deep emotional void. So the crucial point is understanding this concept called limerence. What exactly is it? Well, limerence is a powerful psychological state where the brain creates a neural illusion to fill an emotional void. When you're in a state of limerence, you're not actually falling in love with the complex, flawed human beings standing right in front of you. You're falling in love with a version of them that you meticulously created in your own head. You're taking the things you don't actually know about them and just filling in those gaps with idealized traits. It's exactly like watching a movie you've written yourself, directed yourself, cast yourself in, and the other person, they're really just a supporting character in your story. The relationship exists far more in your imagination than in actual physical reality. Let's move on to section 2, limerence versus healthy love. Now that we know what limerence is, we have to talk about how to actually distinguish it from the real thing. This is absolutely crucial, probably the most vital part of our explainer today. If we want to build lasting, fulfilling relationships, we have to be able to spot the core differences between the fantasy we create in our minds and an actual, grounded reality with another person. When you're in a state of limerence, it thrives on fantasy and performance. It feels like you're a Hollywood actor preparing for the role of a lifetime. You're carefully curating what you say, how you look, how you act, because you are desperately trying to maintain that illusion. But in stark contrast, healthy, genuine love grows when you see someone clearly, flaws and all. It's rooted in bringing your completely unfiltered, weird, authentic self to the table and just knowing you're safe. Love thrives in reality. Limerence thrives in the gaps of what we don't know. Which leads us to section 3, a hidden quest for safety. Now, when you realize you've been living in a limerent fantasy, it's super easy to feel embarrassed or even a little frustrated with yourself. But I want to make something very clear right now. Your brain isn't trying to torture you. These obsessive habits, they're actually misplaced survival instincts. Your mind is simply trying to protect you in the very best way it knows how. For many of us, especially what we might call quiet souls, early environments heavily shape how we perceive love, and this leads to hypervigilance. This is a state of high alert learned from past environments where love was rare or unpredictable. Think about it. If, growing up, affection wasn't guaranteed, your brain learned that it had to stay on constant high alert just to secure it. So when you experience limerence as an adult, it's actually a hidden quest for safety. Your brain is desperately trying to lock down a source of love because it secretly fears it might disappear at any second. And this brilliantly illustrates how a hypervigilant brain works. To that brain, the math is incredibly simple. Validation equals reward. When this new, exciting person gives you approval or attention, your brain sees it as a literal lifeline. It's a massive hit of safety. But the flip side is equally extreme. Distance equals threat. When they pull away or, just leave you on read for a few hours, it doesn't just feel like a bummer. Your nervous system actually interprets it as a literal threat to your survival. Your brain immediately hits the panic button. All right, on to section 4, the emotional roller coaster. Because your brain is treating this new relationship as a literal matter of survival, you get locked into a deeply turbulent internal experience. You become entirely driven by uncertainty and mood dependency. I mean, your entire day's mood suddenly hinges on whether or not they texted you back. Let's look at exactly why this happens in the brain. Hot and cold behavior triggers the brain like a slot machine. This quote perfectly captures the mechanics of limerence. When someone is emotionally unavailable or inconsistent, giving you intense attention one day and totally ignoring you the next, it triggers the exact same reward system in your brain as gambling. It's literally the slot machine effect. Because you never know when the payout is coming, every single small moment of affection feels like a massive, life-changing win. You start chasing those highs harder and harder, and you essentially become chemically addicted to the cycle of anxiety and relief. And because of this powerful slot machine effect, your focus completely shifts. Your energy is entirely poured into being chosen, rather than evaluating actual compatibility. In a limerence state, you aren't sitting back and asking, hey, is this person actually good for me? Do we even share the same values? Do I feel good around them? Instead, you're pouring all of your mental energy into an exhausting performance, just hoping they're going to pick you. The great irony here is, you might not even like them that much if you just took a step back to look at the reality. Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, Breaking the Limerence Loop. Okay, so we've identified the illusion, we've separated it from healthy love, and we deeply understand the brain's survival mechanics at play. Now, let's slow things down a bit. Take a deep breath. How do we actually stop this? How do we soften this emotional firewall and start moving toward real, grounded connection? Well, the good news is we have actionable steps to get there. Let's move to and see how this builds into a practical defense against this obsession. Step 1 is simple but incredibly powerful. Name it. When you feel that mental spiral starting, literally tell yourself out loud, this is limerence, not love. This simple act actually helps your brain shift out of pure panicked reactivity and right back into a conscious awareness. Step 2 is to ground yourself in reality. When the storm in your head gets too loud, use tactile anchors. Go to the kitchen and hold an ice cube, actively feeling its sharp, cold intensity. Or just wrap your hands around a warm mug of tea. These physical sensations physically pull your brain out of that imagined future and firmly back into the safe, present moment. Think of limerence as this chaotic, exhausting roller coaster. Fundamentally, it's you using an old emotional map to try and navigate your adult life. But what we actually want is the anchor, steady, healthy love. I really want you to take away this point today. The fact that you can care so deeply about someone isn't a flaw. It really isn't. It shows you have an incredible capacity for love. You don't need to destroy that capacity. You just need to redirect it away from the roller coaster and toward a safe, steady anchor. You don't have to be perfect to be absolutely worthy of love that doesn't make you panic. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, provocative question. Have you ever experienced that shift where the fantasy finally met reality? Think about a time when the illusion faded, the performance stopped, and you were left looking at the actual person standing right in front of you. Did it bring relief? Disappointment? Maybe a deep understanding? Reflecting on this is the very first step to ensuring your next connection is based on reality, not just a survival instinct searching for safety. If this breakdown helped you see your own patterns a little more clearly, keep exploring, keep questioning, and above all, take care of yourself.